Hi everyone, welcome to No Nonsense Whiskey. My name's Vin PF. On today's episode, we've got another wee woo. This is the wee woo for July 2024, my Whisky In, Whisky Out. And we'll be getting into Whisky In, Whisky Out in just a moment. As always, I'll be having the chapters below so you can zoom ahead or back and forth, whatever you want. As always, in the description below, there'll be links to all of my reviews to these. So if you're watching this after release date, you'll be able to catch up with some of the reviews that I've already done and whatnot. But today we're going to do something slightly different because I normally talk about Whisky In, Whisky Out, just the bottles, or sometimes I chuck in other spirits or whatever in there as well because Whisky In, Whisky Out's a bit, generic. But today, this month at least, I've received 3 non-whiskey related things. They are whiskey related, but not whiskey, that I want to talk about ahead of time. A couple of things that are for me and also not. But yeah, the first one, you might have noticed, I'm wearing a new t-shirt. This is a Gard whiskey t-shirt. If you know, you know. Now, Gard whiskey is something I talk about a lot on the channel. It's a bit of a joke, but the whole point of it is that most of us have got these kind of Kallax units back here, which really only fit like 4 bottles across, but maybe like 4 or 5 deep. Now, I joke about this because basically what I do is I have my relatively cheaper things or more replaceable things, let's say, at the front, and I put my more expensive stuff towards the back. And the whole point of that is that when I come ambling in here on a Friday or Saturday night and I've maybe had a glass of wine or whatever and I'm fancying my dram and I'm looking around, I don't really have organisational systems here, so I don't really go, right, I fancy Isla today or whatever. I just look and see what jumps out at me. But the idea behind that concept is that the really expensive stuff, the stuff that I can't easily replace, is buried right behind that, and I've got to move like 3 or 4 bottles to get it out, and I, generally speaking, can't be bothered. So I put my cheaper stuff up front, and they call it the Gard whiskey. Now, you guys have enjoyed that concept. I know that a lot of you kind of enjoy the joke, so I've got these t-shirts made. I've also got it in black. This is the white one, obviously. Slightly different font colour, if you can notice. We've got it in black here as well. Also, on the sleeve has got the old logo, so you can represent. Now, I haven't been able to buy these and ship them out from my house. It's too much, so I've used Teespring. Unfortunately, that's put the price up a little bit, but there are links in the description below, and if you're watching on YouTube native, you'll see a shop below. I would absolutely love it if you bought a t-shirt because it really, really helps support the channel. It's, again, Teespring is Teespring, so I'll get a slice of that and they'll make a packet, but it's the only way I can make it happen. But yeah, if you're interested, please do go buy a t-shirt. It would fill my heart with joy. Okay, next couple of things then I've had in this month. I think we're about to be joined by Kat, but we'll see what she does. Can't stop it. Doors open. Too hot. We've got the Whiskey Journal. Now, this actually came with a little sleeve. I'm gonna review this product as well as the next one. But I got in touch with these guys. I don't often do this. Usually I wait for people to get in touch with me, but I have been after a whiskey journal for a long old time, but I've never really found one that quite suits my needs. I usually have this moleskin around. You can see I've written a lot of... This is like my 3rd one of these. This is my tasting notes that I write. It's really, really basic, really scrawly, but it suits what I need for the channel. Now, when I saw this, have a look at this thing. Look, I'll open it up. It's laid out. We've seen these things before, right? So it all depends on if you like the layout or not. I've seen quite a few of these whiskey tastings. I've got another one here right now called the 33 Drams of Scotch, which I don't like anyway. And you can see, look, this has got similar sort of information. It's got a flavour wheel and it's got a whatever colour chart, but a couple of things I really didn't like about this was the colour, the flavour wheel didn't really suit me, and the colour meter definitely didn't, because I had to guess what that meant. What does amber mean? What does mahogany mean? I know, but every time I'd have to Google that. And there's only 33 in it, so that's done. Yes, all right, that's fairly cheap in comparison. And this is like probably 30 odd quid, but it holds 200. It looks amazing. You could write on here if you wanted to. But imagine after you've filled up a few hundred tasting notes, you're going to have these on your shelf. I really like that concept, and it worked out really well for me because I just recorded my 500th video, so this is now going to include all my tasting notes for every video going onwards from 500. So yeah, hopefully it'll last me a while, and then I'll be on to the next one. But so far, I really like this. There's an example of some filled pages for you. I've just done this review. So yeah, if you're into that, it's not an affiliate link or anything like that. I just really like it. I'll drop a link in the description below so you can check that out. Finally then, we've got something which a lot of you won't be interested in, to be honest, but I know a fair few of you are. We see online a lot the argument between Glencairn and not. Now, on screen, I'm always a Glencairn user, but that's mainly because back in the day when I started the channel, I used to get a lot of stick for not using a Glencairn. However, when I'm drinking in front of the telly or with friends or whatever, it's nearly always a tumbler. No ice, no water. I just like the feel of a tumbler. Now this is a new glass. They sent me this over. I'm going to be reviewing this again, so I won't go into depth to it. But this is a Diamas glass, and this is a wonderful packet. It opens up. It's got a little magnet on it. I'll unbox it a little bit. You get like a polishing cloth if that's what you're into. Now this is the glass. If I can get it out, it's a unit. In here is a stone, which I will show you, but cooling whiskey isn't really my thing, to be honest. However, you can't argue that kind of 12-sided dice thing is pretty cool. But the idea behind this is that this sits in there, so you've got a kind of like full 5-sided space for cooling if you're into that sort of thing. Now, without this, I will go into this. So this is a really heavy tumbler, and I love that. Considering its size, I would say it's really thick. It's like super thick. So inside here, you probably get. If you filled it to the brim, you'd get quite a lot in there. But comfortably, I would say it suits a double, which is about the same as what a Glencairn would. If you were going to put a double in, it would look pretty chunky in there. But the cool thing about this is that design inside, that 5-sided design, really puts like a kind of an interesting fluid dynamic on it. There's other glasses with fins and stuff like that, but I find that they smash the molecules too much. And whereas this, it kind of like it redirects them a little bit and agitates them. And the really cool thing about it is that because of the way it's designed, when you stop spinning it, the liquid stops within a couple of seconds rather than keeping on going. But yeah, I will say I'm enjoying using the glass. Maybe not so much this, but yeah, watch out for the review for this because it's not cheap. The glass itself is 20 quid, and with the stone and the gift set, it's a bit more. But good quality tumbler glassware, that's something I'm into. I've got in there, talking of which, yes, Glencairns are fairly cheap, but they're so brittle that you need to have loads of them around. My big tumblers that I've got, my cut glass ones, are like 80 quid. So 20 quid ain't that much, to be honest. That's it. Okay, that was a bit of a long intro, so hopefully you stuck with that. Let's get on to the Whisky In then, finally, and we'll see what we got in this month. Let's dig in. Okay, I'll do these as a pair. So the first one then is the Glasgow 1770 Tokai Cask Batch 2. I didn't really get on with Tokai Cask the first time round, but this one much more favourable. However, the cognac cask finish, huge fan of that. I've literally just done the review of that, so I implore you to go and check that out if you want to get more information on it. But yeah, my palate really suits that cognac cask and not so much the Tokai, but I'm still enjoying that. It's still good. Okay, next up then, we've got the Lumreek 10-year-old from McNair's, aka Glenellicky. Now, I've covered that as well, so make sure you go and check out that review. But that's a pretty good drop. It's a pretty good drop. I love my Stinky Pete. Now, finally, I have it. The Ardnahoe 5. I say finally. I could have bought it at any time, but I got this through my local club who got a great price. I think it was like 62 quid delivered. So I jumped at it, but then it's a club that I don't really frequent very often, so it took me ages to pick it up. But yeah, I have it. Big question there is, I did put this to my Discord. Big question here is, Now, a lot of this has been reviewed already. I'm late to the party. Do you care about my views on that? You know, do you want to see this being reviewed anytime soon? Because, I mean, I'll get to it when I get to it. It will get reviewed, but I could bump it up the list if you want. If you want to hear my opinion on it, let me know below. Keeping on going then. Should have done this with the other two. This is the Malt Riot. This is the Glasgow guys doing their attempt at a blend. Dirt cheap. Absolutely dirt cheap. 40%, you know, all the things that people tend to sniff at. But I tell you what, you get that in a blind tasting with similar sort of strengths, and people are going to be scratching their head. Less about that, the better. Okay, now, this is a weird one. This is a Norwegian whiskey from Egge Gard, which means literally egg farm, but that's not actually a farm for eggs. It's just the person who owns it is called Egge. I mean, this was airport fodder. You know, you can pick this up in Oslo Airport, which I did. I don't think you can get this anywhere else outside of Norway yet. I mean, probably if you went on some websites you could, but it's on Whiskey Base already. I didn't have to add this, so people are enjoying it. What I will say is that I paid, considering how expensive Norway is, it's unbelievably expensive. This one came through in the airport as 319 kroner. Now, generally speaking, 319, something like that. In my head, because I went like a few years ago, it was almost 10 times, you know, whatever we were. And so that seems like expensive, but I was like, just buy it anyway. It's a half litre. But anyway, whatever it was, the conversion ended up about 25 quid. So an absolute steal, a bargain. But I'll be reviewing that fairly soon. I don't know. We'll get to it. But it's I'm pretty happy with that. Finally then, this, kind of rubbish fonts aside, because you can't really read what that says. This is the single cask from the Family Series, and that says Scotch and Tattoo, by the way, at the top. I had to actually look at a listing to find that out. But this is an Auchroisk 13-year-old, 56.4%. And I picked this up because, do you know what? I never do this, but they emailed to say, as a thank you to people who are email subscribers, that you can pick this up for 45 quid, pretty much. I think it ended up being just over 50, including delivery. That deal is still going on now. So this is 80 quid, normally. I mean, obviously, it was stuck around, right? So I guess 80 quid may be too much for it. But for 45 quid plus delivery, all you got to do is go and sign up to their email for that, or whatever. You know, just go. I'll leave a link below, but that's where I got it from. Unbelievably good value. Let's call it 50 quid, including the postage. Unbelievably good value. This is an absolute banger. I can't wait to review this. I'm going to be reviewing this next, so it's going to be probably next Thursday. But don't wait for that review. If you're even remotely into classic Scotch notes, you know, ex-bourbon barrel, aged nicely, massively high ABV, single cask, tick, 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 tick. Just go and buy it. It's good. It's really good. And I'm not, like, genuinely not being paid to say that. I bought that. So, yeah. I know I don't buy all of my whiskies anymore, but I bought that. And that was fantastic. Okay. That's a lot. That's a lot I got in this month. Let's move on then to Whisky Out before this video gets too long. Not that many this month, actually, but we'll dig them out anyway. Okay, first one then. Ardnahoe. Now, this is the Beam, Suntory's, Edrington, whatever's attempt at a blend. Now, they've got some cool stuff in their portfolio, so I wouldn't even want to guess. It's not a blended malt, so there's definitely some grain in here. It was fairly expensive, but actually I don't want to say my comments, I don't want to be so bold, but certainly after my review, the price dropped. So maybe they were listening? I don't know, maybe not. But I remember saying, I mean, this was 60 quid. I don't know what it is today, I should have checked. But yeah, it's fantastic, right? So when I first reviewed it, I must have been down here. And I think I remember saying something along the lines of, this is a banger. When I first opened it, I was like, this is bog standard, 60 quid, you're having a bit of a laugh. As it went down, it was like, 60 quid is fine. And then as it went down and down and down and down and down, this just got better and better and better. It changed every single time I drank from it. And to the point where it was one of those drams where, I mean, up here, if I did scores, which I don't, up here it would have been sort of 70, you know, perfectly fine, maybe a bit expensive, and it just went almost exactly in points down here, until we got down to the bottom, and I would let this finish at a close 88, 89. Superb, absolutely superb. They did a wonderful job on that, and an absolute grower. You, honestly, genuinely speaking, ask anybody who's picked this up. Every single person that I've spoken to has said exactly the same thing. It's it evolved. Next up then, the Linkwood 11-year-old. I did this as part of my kind of Master of Malt, whatever, multiple. I did like 5 bottles. And this got killed almost immediately after that, and it's been sat in that kind of thing since then. But this was an absolute stunner. I love Linkwood. 11-year-old. I can't remember how much I paid for this now. It must have been in the 40s, maybe 45 quid. But I remember when I tried this for the first time, it was at my local whiskey club. Bert brought it in, I think, and I poured it, I sniffed it, I tasted it, and I sat there and I contemplated it. And I don't often do that, especially in a social setting. I normally go, that's fine. I sat there in silence and contemplated it. And that really hit home for me, because whiskies don't really do that to me anymore. I mean, obviously I'll sit here and think about them, you know, I won't say that I don't, but to literally to let it hit your palate and for you to go, and I bought a bottle that day because it was an absolute stunner. Gutted to get it gone, but when whiskey is that good, it makes you keep coming back to it, and you know that it wasn't that expensive. You know, if this, obviously I wouldn't have spent that, but if that was like 150 quid, I probably wouldn't have gone at it so hard. Conversely to that exact point, I'm just going to completely blow that point on its head. I finished this little wee bad boy. That boutique whiskey company, and this is the Ben Nevis 26-year-old. This, obviously I was sent this because this was by a massive margin the most expensive whiskey in my collection. Retails at 370 something quid for a half litre because of that damn Ben Nevis 26-year-old name. You know, this is like whatever year that was. I forget the year that it was really, really good. 96 or something like that. I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter. It commanded a high price. But this was genuinely one of the best whiskies that I'd ever had the pleasure of trying. And I made a snap decision. I could have hoarded it and I could have put it away. But what I did instead was took it to the Somerton Club in May and shared it with as many people as I could. I was a bit sneaky, actually. What I did was I didn't tell people I had it, or at least I told a select few people, and I wanted to see how quickly that information propagated around. And it did. Not too much, but, you know, friends of friends found out about it and they all got a bit. And then there was probably, you know, an inch or so left in it when I got home. So I nursed it slowly over the next few weeks after that. And then we got it here. Dead. Because that's what this channel is all about. It isn't about hoarding whiskey. It isn't about collecting whiskey. All of these bottles on my shelf are open, apart from a handful for whatever reason. But you can check out my yearly collection videos if you want to find out why they're closed. But there is a good reason for every single one being closed. But I nearly always open my bottles as soon as I get them, because I believe whiskey is for drinking and for sharing. End of. Okay, a bit of a longer one today. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to buy a shirt if you're so interested. White or black. I'll show them again, just in case. Boom. Fantastic. I love these things. I'm going to be wearing these a lot on my videos now. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again on more videos coming soon. Cheers.